Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle something that, let's be honest, can be kind of tricky. Mastering those casual, non-work chats in the office. You know, the ones that actually help you build real connections with your colleagues.
You know that feeling, right? You're standing by the coffee machine, a colleague walks up and, boom, your mind goes totally blank. It's like, what do I even say? How do I stop myself from talking about the weather for the third time this week?
Look, if that sounds familiar, I promise you, you are so not alone. This has nothing to do with how good you are at your job. It's just about the art of small talk. But here's the good news. It's a skill. And today we're going to build your personal conversation toolkit to turn that anxiety into pure confidence.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with that awkward silence and how to beat it. Then, I'll give you 3 core conversation starters. We'll dive into each one: the weekend, books and TV, and holiday plans. And then we'll finish with the most powerful skill of all, the art of the follow-up. Okay, let's dive right in. The hard part at work isn't talking about projects or deadlines. We've got that covered. The tricky part is the chat in the kitchen or in the elevator, those small moments that are actually where we build trust and make work, a lot more fun.
So what's the secret here? Well, it's way simpler than you think. You don't need 100 different things to talk about. You just need a solid plan, and that plan is built around 3, just 3, super reliable topics that work in pretty much any situation.
And here they are. This is it. This is the core of your new toolkit. These 3 topics are basically your secret weapons against that awkward silence we all want to avoid. Think of these as your go-to openers: the weekend, what you're watching or reading, and upcoming holidays. Now, the reason these work so well is that they're positive, they're personal but not too personal, and they just open the door to finding things you have in common. All right, let's break down the very first tool in our toolkit, the weekend. I mean, it's a classic for a reason, right? It's just such a simple, low-pressure way to get a little glimpse into your colleagues' lives outside the office. On a Monday, it's super easy. How was your weekend? Or, get up to anything fun? Then, towards the end of the week, maybe on a Thursday or Friday, you just flip the script. Got any special plans for the weekend? Simple.
Okay, so you ask the question, and your colleague gives you a nice, simple answer like this one. Now, pay attention, because this right here, this is the critical moment. What you say next makes or breaks the whole conversation.
And you basically have a choice. You can give a response like, "Oh, okay," and conversation over, dead end. Or you can open up a whole new path. Either you find that common ground, "No way, I'm into gardening too," or you just share a little about your own experience. That sounds so relaxing. My weekend was the total opposite. See how both of those invite them to say more?
But what about the one we all dread? The nothing special or just a quiet one? This is where most conversations just die. But not for you, because you're going to learn the pivot.
Here's how it works. It's a simple 1-2 punch. First, you validate their answer. "Oh man, we all need a quiet weekend sometimes." Then you pivot. You can gently transition by saying something like, "A quiet weekend sounds nice. Did you get to catch up on any TV?" And just like that, you've moved us perfectly to the next tool in our toolkit.
Okay, let's talk about our second tool, media. Talking about what you're watching or reading is an amazing way to connect. But with this one, your approach is everything.
So here's the golden rule for this one. Instead of putting them on the spot and asking, "So, what are you watching?" which can feel a little like an interview, you start by sharing what you've been watching. It's way more natural and just feels more inviting.
It's a really simple 3-step flow. First, you share what you've been watching, just like we did in that pivot. Then, you ask for their opinion. And here's the most important part, step 3. You adapt your follow-up based on whatever they say.
And just look at this. You're ready for any response they give you. If they love the show, great, you can dive deeper. If they've never seen it, you get to tell them a little about it. And if they're not a TV person at all, no problem. You just adapt and ask about books instead. You're always ready to follow their lead.
And that brings us to our third and final tool, upcoming holidays. This one is such a great conversation starter because it's almost always about something positive and exciting to look forward to.
As summer or a big holiday gets closer, these questions just start to feel really natural. They let people talk about trips, family, traditions, all the good stuff that helps you get to know them on a more personal level.
So let's say you ask about their plans, and they mention they're heading up to Brisbane. Just like before, what you do next, your follow-up, is absolutely everything. And you've got 2 fantastic options here. You can show genuine interest by asking more questions, that proves you were listening, or if you've actually been there, you can share your own experience and maybe offer a helpful tip. Both of these keep that positive energy flowing.
Okay, let's tie all of this together. We've talked about 3 awesome conversation starters, but the real magic, the skill that truly makes someone great to talk to, isn't about the opening question. It's about what you do next. The follow-up is your superpower. It's all about active listening. It's about taking what they just gave you and using it to build a bridge to the next part of the conversation. This is what shows people you're actually interested in them, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
So there you have it. You've got the toolkit, the weekend, media, and holidays, and you've got the superpower, the follow-up. You are ready. The only question left is, which one are you going to use to connect with someone at work tomorrow?